Let's start with a truth you probably don't want to hear. What you think you see in other people is a lie. This is Unspoken Rules, the place we pull back the curtain on the harsh psychological realities that run your life. It's time to wake up. So, let me ask you directly. Do you think you're a good judge of character? You pride yourself on that gut feeling, right? That ability to just size someone up in a matter of seconds. To know who they are, what they're capable of, just by the way they carry themselves. Be honest.
Well, here's the thing. That belief, that feeling of certainty you cling to, it isn't a superpower. It's a prison. It's a beautifully constructed cage that keeps you blind to the real game being played around you. And that vulnerability, it's being used against you every single day. So today, we're going to tear that prison down brick by painful brick. Okay, rule number 1. You have to accept this right now. You are always watching a performance. Always. Social interaction isn't some pure window into a person's soul. It's a stage. And your biggest mistake, the one that costs you over and over again, is taking everything at face value. You think behavior reflects character. It doesn't. It reflects strategy.
You know, psychologists have a name for this, impression management. But don't think of it as some dry academic theory. This is a fundamental law of the universe, like gravity. Everyone is doing it. You're doing it. We are all constantly curating the version of ourselves we let the world see. But here's the critical difference you have to understand. For some people, this isn't just a social nicety, it's a weapon.
And this right here is where they get you. This is how your own mind betrays you. You see someone acting weak, and what do? You lower your guard. You see someone showing deference, and you just assume they're compliant. You encounter silence, and you write it off as them being slow, or maybe just not interested. And every single time, you've completely misread the board. You've mistaken a calculated move for a genuine personality trait, and in doing so, you've just handed your opponent a massive advantage. You've basically just broadcast to the world that you are an easy target.
So if it's all a performance, then we have to understand the actor, don't we? We've got to get inside their head. We need to dissect the psychology of the social chameleon, that person who has absolutely mastered the art of wearing a mask.
Now, this mask they wear, it's not random. It's not just thrown together. It's forged in the fire of their circumstances. It's custom built with a very specific goal in mind. You see, in any environment where there's a hierarchy, and let's be real, that's almost everywhere, the mask becomes an essential piece of equipment. It's a tool for dodging threats, for sliding past obstacles, and for setting yourself up for the perfect moment to strike, all while everyone around you thinks you're completely harmless.
And this right here? This is one of the most powerful, most insidious tools in the entire playbook. It's called strategic vulnerability. See, a master player knows the quickest path to your trust isn't through logic, it's through emotion. So they'll perform vulnerability. They'll tell you some heart-wrenching story about their past, maybe a tough childhood. And you feel honored, you feel special. You think, wow, they trust me. So what do? You open up. You share your real fears, your real insecurities. But you've missed the point. Their story wasn't real. It was bait. It was a script, carefully crafted to get you to hand over authentic, actionable intelligence about yourself.
And just like that, it escalates into a complete system of control. Look at the toolkit. They treat your secrets, your emotions as currency. It's just data to be collected and used against you later. Their empathy, it's always conditional. It's a transaction. They give you a little support, but they're always expecting a much bigger payoff. They work to make you dependent on them, positioning themselves as the only one who truly gets you. And all the while, notice the flow of information. It's a one-way street. You tell them everything. They tell you nothing real. You're an open book. They're our fortress.
But I want you to understand something very important. This is not a victimless game, not even for the person wearing the mask. Maintaining that constant performance is unbelievably draining. It's mentally and emotionally exhausting. It leads to total burnout. And over time, it starts to eat away at their own soul, their own sense of who they are. The line between the performance and the person gets blurry. It's a high-stakes game, and the cost is incredibly high for everyone involved.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. Let's go from looking at the individual player to looking at the game board itself. Because these chameleons, these master performers, they don't just spring out of nowhere. No, they are forged. They are created by pressure, specifically the intense pressure of social and professional hierarchies.
If you really want to understand how this works, you have to look at the most extreme examples. Think of the totalitarian regimes of the 20th century. They were, in effect, giant, horrifying laboratories for human behavior. In those systems, your very survival, day to day, depended entirely on your ability to perform, to perfectly adapt your persona, to please whoever held power over you in that moment.
And what came out of these pressure cookers was this profound split in personality. You can have the very same person be totally meek, subservient, and deferential in front of their boss, and then turn around and become an absolute monster to those beneath them. Now listen, this isn't some kind of clinical diagnosis. This is a learned survival response. It is a perfectly rational adaptation to a completely irrational system, where your status and even your very existence could be over in an instant.
And this is the ultimate tragedy of it all. The insanity of the system gets internalized. It becomes a part of you. People get trapped, forced to constantly switch between being the victim and being the perpetrator. They're bowing one minute and barking orders the next. The true self just shatters into a million pieces, a collection of masks to be swapped out depending on who's in the room.
So, do you think these timeless tactics of psychological warfare just went away? Of course not. They've just evolved. They've been scaled up. They've been industrialized. And now, they're being deployed against all of us on a massive scale. Welcome to the post-truth era.
On this new battlefield, the first casualty is truth itself. You have to understand, the goal isn't to win an argument with facts anymore. The goal is to make facts completely irrelevant. Power is seized by appealing directly to our raw emotions, to our tribal instincts, to our deepest held beliefs, completely bypassing any kind of critical thought. And please, don't make the mistake of thinking this is just some fringe issue. A 2020 study from Oxford University found that a mind-blowing 93% of countries surveyed were using organized disinformation campaigns as a core political strategy. This is the new normal. The kind of manipulation that used to be one-on-one is now happening at an industrial scale.
The stakes here are literally everything. The philosopher Hannah Arendt warned us about this. Facts, objective reality, that's the common ground we all stand on. It's the shared foundation that makes civil debate and dialogue even possible. When you start to deny facts, you're not just telling a lie. You are taking a sledgehammer to the very possibility of a shared reality. You are dismantling the foundation of a free society.
So here's the key takeaway. The ultimate goal of this modern large-scale manipulation is not to convince you that they are right. It is to create such a storm of confusion, cynicism, and noise that you start to believe no one is right. The goal is to erode your trust in everything, in the media, in science, in institutions, in reality itself, until you just give up. Their victory isn't your agreement, it's your exhaustion, it's your apathy.
Look, I know hearing all of this can feel crushing. It can make you feel hopeless, but that is not the point. This knowledge is not meant to make you paranoid. It's meant to make you aware. It's meant to be a weapon. And right now, we're going to talk about how you can start to use it.
The way forward starts with a completely new mindset. First, you have to learn to accept ambiguity. You're not always going to know someone's true intentions, and you have to become okay with that uncertainty. Second, you must practice intellectual humility. Admit to yourself, right now, that your ability to read people is deeply flawed. And third, you have to engage in relentless self-reflection. Constantly ask yourself, why do I believe this? Is this conclusion based on actual evidence, or is it just my ego or my emotions talking? And this distinction is absolutely crucial. The goal is not to become a cynic. That's a trap. That's what the manipulators want you to become. No, the goal is to transform yourself from being a passive consumer of whatever narrative is fed to you into being an active, critical user of reality. You have to learn to question, to analyze, and to deconstruct everything you see and hear. Think of the world as a giant chessboard. The game is always in motion, whether you realize it or not. The people who understand these unspoken rules are actively making their moves. The people who live inside that comfortable prison of their assumptions, well, they're just the pieces being moved around the board. You have to decide right now which one you're going to be. So we're at a crossroads, and here's the fundamental question. Are you going to go back to the comfortable prison of your assumptions, back to the lie that you can take people at face value? Or are you going to make a commitment right now to see the world as it actually is, a complex stage of power, perception, and performance? The choice is entirely yours. If you are ready to see the real game, then prove it. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell so you are never left in the dark, and join the conversation in the comments. Commit to awareness. The game is on. Start playing.